Hi, YouTube. I hope you're all doing good. I am doing pretty good. Friend of Doug stopped over. He had had a heart attack a little bit ago, and he also had had a piece of metal in his head that they just removed 2 days ago, and he's alive. So, which is, the things this guy's been through, unbelievable. He got shot right in the third eye. Crazy, huh? But 22, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's a miracle. He's alive and kicking today, So it's pretty cool. Good to see him. Oh, I'm not too sure what's on my mind today, but I do have a question for the gay queer community. Do you feel that it's important that you present yourself in public for your group of people, to represent yourself as your group of people? And do you look to the younger generation to try and encourage or influence them away from uh, linear, typical family? That's my question to you. And it's not a far-fetched or out-of-the-way question. It's not even a point of curiosity to me of why. It's more on an individual basis, which I'm sure there's thousands, if not millions, of reasons why different people would do things in this world. So, yeah. So there's my question. I'm going to light a cigarette and talk to you for a while. Yeah, it's not only not my thing. I've told you about the spiritual and health and emotional ramifications of the whole ordeal. And what I say is absolutely fact and true, and not only biologically researchable, but extremely important for the next generations to understand all that stuff, you know. So, it's not, like I said before, it's not a matter of bigotry or hatred. It has nothing to do with that. Because I would never, I might make a joke on you, and I hope if you thought something in my lifestyle was an oddity that you would joke about it also, and believe with your whole heart that I wouldn't take offense to you. So I'm not meaning to offend. If I do, I'll let you know, and I'll be straight up offensive. That'll do with hateful people. And I did have somebody they would consider themselves probably bisexual or lesbian come against me last week. And I know several people who would consider themselves agender, as far as not desiring either gender. So, there's all kinds of people in the world. So, anyway, just a matter of, well, it's more than curiosity. It's my mission to explain the health ramifications of the whole ordeal for everybody, not just one person individually, but the future generations. So, leaving me, leaving you, leaving everybody out of it, including the paid off scientists that aren't going to dig into the medical journals like I have for other people, because I see what got me wondering after AIDS about Morgellons. And not only did I find those vials in the Masonic Lodge with different diseases in them and whatnot, in them cases under the stairs that were moved, all that some of you have heard. It's not a story, it's a true fact of my snooping around when I was a little kid. Think about 11 or 12, somewhere around in there. And then they started telling me about the different things they were going to implement in society, push into society, have money backed into certain actions that people do to implement the destruction and the tearing down of what constitutes a family. So as you see, this really has nothing to do with you on a personal level. This is a political vice that is being used against everybody to keep people at odds with each other, you know. So I started thinking to myself, what is it about this new virus called Morgellons that has the AIDS components, and like syphilis and schistosomiasis and different components to this whole thing that's a creature, and how did it come about? And it came about from the unclean habits of the people in the world and what they were initially told to stay away from, and why. You know, you've all heard about the fairy tales, you think, the incubus and the succubus that will get you in the night sexually, you know, or the transfer of demons. Like, you ever had an ex and you swore that person was demonic, and it took you like years to shake that off? You know, the feeling of that person you were around, or not even an ex, maybe it was a parent, God forbid, that gave you that feeling that you had trouble shaking it off. You know, like you almost needed an exorcism type of thing. And I couldn't be more serious than to tell you this is exactly what it is, and how you're being used. And I'm not saying that if you love somebody that your love isn't genuine. That I'm not even I wouldn't be so bold as to assume that, you know. So anyway, but it is a really important topic, and it really does have to do with diseases and misleading information from societies that make money, like the World Health Organization and Big Pharma and the CDC and different things that people that don't care one iota if you live or die, or if any of the rest of us do, or if your offsprings do. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, that's why I'm talking about it, people. You know, the seriousness of it all. And I've talked about it, and I've read about it, and I've read to people, and I've looked up words and showed you why these things are important. Like Lionel Nation was talking about the word humble, and with the Masonic nature of our language and stuff, a lot of what they use in their trickery is like the second or third definition, or even if it has like where it originates from, or or the noun for it, if it has a line on top of it or under it. When you see those codes within a dictionary, the Webster Dictionary, that's what their codes are for reading the King James Bible along with the Masonic Blue Book or the Masonic Bible. That's what it's all about. So anyway, Lionel was talking about the word humble, and I humbled myself before friends in Russia last week. And first Lionel's like, why would a person do that? Because like you're lowering yourself or putting yourself less than. But then the third definition, to honor somebody, like okay, wait, and then I lost the definition anyway. To treat somebody at least on your own level, if not put yourself beneath them, like losing your ego type of thing. It was what it means. And I have talking out there, so I lost my concert. Yeah, my confirmation. I lost it. Oh, that's funny to me. Anyway, but yeah, I think you got what I mean. So being humble, really, to people that deserve it. That show me the same kind of respect in life. I'll always humble myself before a person like that. Always. Without question. Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was interesting because then, yes, it is the third definition I'm going on when I humble myself before somebody. And no, I'm not putting myself less than. I would put myself less than only one, and that's God Almighty. Everybody else, we're no better or worse than anybody. I mean, we can act better or worse. Our potential in life is no better or worse than anybody else's. Our actions are, however, you know. So if we don't actually look into the future, hundreds of years, if you don't look 7 generations at least into the future, what you do or show today is going to affect the future. So there you can determine the base. Put yourself at the beginning of life and put yourself at the end of the life. And put yourself in the flesh and put yourself out of the flesh. And ask yourself at the end of it all, who are you? See, now I was listening to Rex Bear Leak Project talking about some hidden Vatican papers again and creation story of, no, it was Adam's apocalypse, I do believe. And they were talking about how like a certain being had become androgynous to give birth to herself. Well, like I had explained with the creation of God creating himself within mankind through woman, that is not androgynous. That's with thought. Thought into matter does not make the matter, the flesh, all the same thing. It's the thought, you know. If you get my meaning, maybe I can explain that another way. God could, well, I told you 2 different ways, but what is going on in this world is the mix of the genders and the confusion within the people. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing if you're queer or gay or whatever. If you're trans and you're very young, my heart goes out to you. If you're very old and doing that, you must have a very disturbing life. But if you're portraying that in front of children, I pray that it gets a little more disturbing for you. And that's all I'm going to say, and whatever, because you would be distressing, even if it's only one that you throw off kilter from their true nature, not yours now, theirs. I'm not sitting here with a partner of any sort. I am not representing to you anything about my sexuality at all. So that's a big difference in life. So something to ponder. So I'm just giving you some things to think about. I'm not well, I'll judge. I'm openly willing to judge anybody, and I'm openly willing to have you judge me. Do we really care? Ultimately? Really? Huh? If you're not going to hurt me, and I'm not going to hurt you, what worldly difference would it even make? Unless we were doing or saying something towards children that would harm them, right? I mean, adults, I think we're big enough people that we can say or do anything to each other without causing wars, you know. So, but that's not wars. What wars are about money anyway. We all know that. So, yeah. Pretty nice day out. It rained like crazy last night. We probably got over 2 inches of rain, and we needed it because I thought about barbecuing last week, but I wasn't going to do it because we had patches of grass that were almost like the color of the end of my cigarette, but it's like, oh, I don't think so. And that's a little, that usually doesn't happen in my state till about August. We'll get like what they call the dog days of summer. And yeah, sorry about my door. I think my um, cat pushed it open, but either way. But yeah, so we typically, we're usually green around here all summer until August at least, and then maybe we stop mowing as much as we usually would, but yeah. So. Oh, I'm on my second day fasting. Usually I know they say don't tell people when what it is like don't look like you're all stressed out. I'm fasting. Look at me, blah blah. Y'all know I fast every day until nighttime, and I eat a big meal, and that's how I keep fit, just like that. But yesterday morning, I was walking down the steps to feed the outdoor kitties, and I had a 2.5 gallon bucket full of water, which is 17.5 pounds, I do believe, if I'm right about my, yeah, I think I got it on spot. 8 pounds a gallon. So anyway, and a light little thing of kitty food container in the other hand. And I'm walking down the steps. I got these two things, and I have my one big white boy Yeti get under my foot. And when I lift my foot to move it, Puma, the black one, ran under my other leg, and in order not to squish either of them, I had to turn my body in a really weird position. And I'm pretty limber, but I did pull a muscle out. Well, fasting does help if you're not feeling good, and you're, I mean, like last night, the last thing I wanted to do was even think about eating anything. I don't know if you've ever hurt that bad where you didn't want to eat, or I mean, certainly not cook anything, but I could have grabbed something, but I didn't feel like it. And your body will heal quicker if, like, all the toxins, and I detox every day too, but I mean, if every single toxin is out of your body, like when I was sleeping and I had nothing in me, it gave my body the ability to heal today. And I didn't do anything today either. I just sat down and rested where I hurt myself. Because yesterday I went to grab an ice pack and I had this little thing of, it was for barbecuing. It was like oregano oil and basil, and it was this little bottle of, um, like, ground up spice oils that I had in my freezer that spilt over on my ice pack that I keep in there. And so I went to grab that and I got all oily. I have OCD, so I go wash my hands and then I just sat down without the ice pack. It's like, okay, I already had enough this day, you know. But then I turned on I had been watching Beastmaster 3. I don't know if I had ever seen it. I might have. But I fell asleep the night before through half of it. And then last night I turned on the other half and I fell asleep through that one. And then woke up and there was some like time travel thing I might check out tonight. I don't know, that was on right after that. I used to watch like the Beastmaster. Uh, there was a series on TV, if you remember that. Him and his ferrets and his lion. And yeah. So it was pretty good. A little corny, to be honest, but good show though. I mean, to keep my mind off of all the seriousness of the world, sometimes I'll turn on something that I'm not really big on romances, although I will watch them, or comedies, because then if I see something lewd and crude and just not funny, so I'm more like the sci-fi or um, thrillers. I used to be a big horror fan, loved them, but not much anymore. A lot of them are more like just slasher stuff. The older stuff used to be more like psychological thrillers. Love them. I love old black and white movies, American or English or even dubbed from another country. Oh, yeah, yeah. The night before that, I had watched um, Hercules, and it was dubbed. And I think it was Italian. I'm not sure. I was a little tired in because of their lip movement. I couldn't really tell. It could have even been one of the Assyrian countries, but the landscape looked more. It could have been some of the southern parts of Italy or something like that. Like some of the spaghetti westerns, if you're familiar with the Trinity movies, or like those. Well, anyway, these. And then after I watched the one, Hercules was like, what was it? Saving some queen. I think it was his girlfriend or something, or his wife, or intended, or whatever. Sort of fell asleep with that one too, but woke up towards the end and they were together. But then I saw that there was a whole series of those things. So whatever country they were from, I'm assuming that the actors and actresses were like famous in there, sort of like maybe like our Hercules or Xena the Warrior Princess stuff or stuff like that is what it reminded me, sort of like that. Only older. I think it looked like it might even been 60s or 70s stuff. So, So yeah, good to know our friend lived through all this stuff. Yeah, Doug used to go and check on him. He lived over by the lake with his mom, and I used to work with his mom, was a nurse at the same place I was. I was a trained medical assistant and a counselor. She was my head nurse at a drug treatment facility for men. I did want to get in and work with the women at their facility, but they didn't have any openings when they hired me. It was just for the guys, and it was okay. I mean, I'd go play basketball with them and take them shopping and counsel them, and I'd be in the um, commons, the lunchroom with them, and there was a piano in their place, and there was basketball court out there, but we would go into the Army National Guard and play on the big court inside. That was fun. So, but yeah, so we'd either sing or whatever. Um, the thing that's interesting about that in my state is with these people that were coming down from all kinds of drugs and whatever. Some of them went there voluntarily, most of them didn't. But it was like their last chance hotel type of thing, like either straighten up or like next time you go, you're not coming out type of. But I'm like, they live right here by the lake for anywhere from 3 months to a year. Why don't we get them some fishing poles and let them fish? I mean, what are you going to do? Sit there? Used to be a joke playing tiddlywinks with manhole covers. It's like them. What were them one things like? Do you remember my kids had them like pogs, or what were they called? You could like, they were round and you could put them on the table and you could like flip them by touching them. I think they were pogs. And some of them had like, I had ones that were like holographic and sparkly, and bottom some other ones. I think that's what them. But what are you gonna do? Sit around playing tiddlywinks with manhole covers? Or I mean, if you don't play basketball and you can't walk off the grounds, but you got a lake, why not swim or fish? Or because they had a lifeguard. I'm a junior lifeguard with all my Red Cross courses and nursing training, somebody to save them right there and to teach them how to fish. So they did. They got the guys fishing poles, and the one guy, he didn't even catch anything, but he was just happy to go and cast it out there, and he loved just reeling it in and watching the bobber floating on the waves. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, beats the hell out of sitting inside all the time and not doing anything. What are you going to do? Watch TV, read a book, sit in your room, talk to the other guys going through deep, dark, depressive, um, mind altering, what's the word? Just sec, detox. Oh, yeah. So to keep him busy was a big deal. And then this guy's mom and I fought the state to get these people vitamins. It's like some of them are so deficient in vitamins that there's nothing we can feed these guys to get them healthy again. They need extra. So this Adela rather, and I fought really hard to take some of the funds from the state to purchase vitamins for these guys. They'd have to go in the nurse's office to get them, and some of them wouldn't, and I'd try and urge them to go do that, but some of them did, and it did help them. So yeah, there's some good. His mom was a good nurse, a really good nurse. So I had to really admire that out of her. Somebody like me that would not only work for the state but fight their asses because we didn't agree with what they were doing. and some of their policies, you know. I just love doing that. I mean, it's not that I just love to buck the system for no reason. I like to take something that I see as totally unjust and straighten it around, you know? There was a lot of them guys that used to want to beat me up too, just for being female. And, you know, I'd say probably half the men I've met in my life have thought about wanting to take me out, not in a nice way, you know, and the other half probably in a nice way. I know, or there would be about like maybe 1% who would rather take my spouse out, but you know, yeah. So sometimes working around um, um drug riddled criminal minds that are detoxing isn't always the nicest thing in the world. Talk about a challenge. Boy, I've had my challenges in life. Woofda. Pretty much just saying hello and wanted to ask my question to the queer community. How important is it to you to be represented and to represent yourself? Is it any more than it is for me? Like, whatever, I'm doing my own thing over here, just leave me the hell alone, you know? Or do you got to get out there and totally present? Because I'm presenting the medical facts and the spiritual facts. And I think someday the world's going to take notice of that, you know? The medical community really needs to step up. And as far as I'm concerned, the reason why the religious community is such a joke is because they don't speak from their hearts. Yeah, where do you find that in the scriptures? Well, you could go look it up. It really is there. I've only read the Bible 6 times and word for word in different languages. Would you like to debate my knowledge? Ah, I'm not going to debate nothing with nobody because you know why? If you have your mind set in a certain area and different sympathies for people for various reasons, I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to talk about the facts of the situation in life and to adolescents that I know probably shouldn't be listening to me, but I know you do. And just make you realize that some of our decisions aren't the right ones for the future generations. And you got to ask yourself, not so much is God watching because he's in you, watching through your eyes. Like one's Satan and one's God, and they both see you. Who do you serve and who's going to help you? And in the end, the one that wants you dead is the one that really wants you dead by any means possible. So you got to ask yourself, it's not is God watching me, but what little person is watching me, and how do I want to influence that little person? Has nothing to do with nobody else, does it now? It has to do with hundreds of years in the future from what you do and say today. Because all of our works follow us, or our lack of work. And what if it's not the right work? Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to leave it at there. I just want to say hello today. And hey, I'm rejoicing our friend that prays for Doug and actually has been sober, I think, probably 20 years, is celebrating Doug's sobriety of 3 months. I think he said March 8th he quit drinking. So, yeah, that's a good thing. It's good to have healthy friends. Not just that if you drink or if you smoke something or whatever. I'm not. I mean, in your sound stability and your love, your actual concern for other people, not getting mad at somebody like, if you don't call this man a woman, you will call her a her. No, I'm actually going to still say this is a man who's mentally handicapped, obviously. And physically, maybe it's muscular dystrophy and it's actually affecting a very big muscle. Could be anything, but something that doesn't lead to the last two people or the first two people and all the children in between is where you have to think. If you can't think of all that and you're influenced by what's in between, we have problems here. And it is a major, major problem. Okay, this is it. It's the old give an inch, take a mile type of thing in almost any given situation. So I'll try and make this quick for you. Get my thought out here. There's just certain things that are sacred that could remain sacred without the um, seeping in of it. It's just like a religion that is penetrated by another religion. It's no longer that pure religion. Right? Same with bloodlines. It's the same. That isn't quite where I was trying to go with that, though. Let me think of how I was going to put that. There's certain things and the way things can be done, and this goes for nudity in public and little people and all of this, drinking, drugs, or whatever. There's certain things that little people just don't need to be around. They can discover things on their own, and the way that things are being pushed now, because it is that agenda for the hospitals and the doctors to be making money, and some families are going to fall apart from a child wanting to have a sex change surgery. And I shared a meme. It's like, I really am glad when I was like, I think it said like, climbing trees, eating glue and boogers and crayons, that my parents didn't let me start puberty blockers or, that type of thing. So when you're like 18 to 30, I would wait till I was 30 to make a definite decision on any major decision on my life. That's just my recommendation in those areas, because the money that's going to be made off of little people now and the families that are going to be destroyed from it within the queer community, please, especially transgender, which is no such thing, by the way. Help the little people. Be who you're going to be, but don't be it for the little people. Be it for yourself. And take some pride in that then. Please heed my words. It's a physical, spiritual thing. It's a real health issues with the whole thing. And now they're mutilating kids. Where's this going to end? And now I'm going to say what one of my biggest pet peeves was from the beginning of all of what I call transgressions towards the Almighty. Because being androgynous is a mind thing, not a confusion. I know my Father is in my temple, but I don't feel like a man because of it, you know? Oh, I don't know where I was going with that, but I think you got my point. Oh, that's what it was. Why? And I'm a minister. I'm a licensed ordained minister. Not that it really matters or means anything to many people. Some people it does. But why the sanctity of marriage? Why couldn't it just be with a gay union? A union with the same benefits that the sanctity of marriage within Christianity. And I'm not saying God doesn't love everybody, but God also gets angry at people, and those are the parts of the scriptures that people are ignoring for other people's benefits, and they are doing them a disservice. So I'm doing you a service, and I love you, and I hope you can say the same about me. But I'm not going to shut up, and what I'm saying is true. So peace and love, everybody. From Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.